Welcome to Salcedo Paranormal, and tonight I am sharing true paranormal stories from the web. As always, you can find all episodes of the show along with links to social media and other ways to contact me at the podcast page, and that is salcedoparanormal.podbean.com. That's SALSIDO paranormal.podbean.com. Always happy to hear from you all, whether you have comments or questions or topic suggestions, or stories of paranormal experiences, whether they're your own or from others that you trust. Happy to either read those or have you join me on the show to talk about them. If you would like to support the show, there are a few different ways to do that. You can share the show with others. There's also an Amazon page with some books that I've written, paranormal fiction and nonfiction that you can check out, and also links to direct donation pages to the podcast, as there are expenses in equipment and research and other things, hosting and all that. So, the support is always appreciated, never expected, and takes care of that. If you want to listen to the show, I always appreciate you all listening, whether you are here for the live streams or you listen through the podcast or YouTube feed, or if you listen now, not now, but at night, every night at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, on the Trouble Minds Radio Network, KUAP Digital Broadcasting. You'll hear 2 episodes of my show, previously recorded episodes, and I want to thank Mike and everyone there that's been working on that station for helping me with that. So I believe that takes care of everything. This week is going to be, there's going to be a lot of these kinds of true paranormal stories from the web shows, just because last week I didn't get to as many of those. So that'll be today, and then let's see, that would be Monday. Monday? Yeah, Monday. And also a very special one of those kinds of shows, in a way, will be recorded on Wednesday night, actually Thursday morning, and it will come out Thursday morning or early afternoon. That's going to be a True Paranormal Stories from the Web roundtable that I'll be having basically on Wednesday night, Thursday morning. Of course, there won't be a stream for that, but it'll come out not long after that. So, I think that's everything. So let me get to the stories here I have set aside for tonight. This first one says, one morning, just before 3 a.m., my boyfriend and I were in the kitchen of my parents' house talking and making food when we heard a song coming from somewhere else in the house. It took a minute to figure out what we were hearing. At first, I thought it was coming from someone's phone, but then I recognized it as coming from a music box in my old bedroom. Then we heard a door close as well. I sent a text message to my sister, asking if it was her, but she said she was still in bed, and had been for a while. Next, I wondered if our cats could have somehow gotten the music box going, but I remembered that the handle was really hard to turn, which ruled out that possibility. I sent a message to my mom, asking if it was her, as she sometimes sleeps in that room now, but I didn't get a response until later that morning. So my boyfriend and I went to bed. Later that morning, I found out that my mom had been in the room, and the sound had woken her up. She also confirmed that the cats had not been messing around with the box. I believe my mom when she says it wasn't her. She will play pranks sometimes, but will also own up to it if she sees that she has frightened anyone. That was one odd morning and experience. So, the music box thing, that's not uncommon. I've heard of that in different stories before. I think I've even covered stories like that before on the show, where there's no easy explanation for why the thing would be going off. Um, Especially in a case like that where the handle, it's not a loose handle. It's not. It takes some effort to turn the handle on the box, and so yeah, I don't know who turned it on, but someone did apparently. Someone that obviously was not visible in the room. Sounds like the mom was there and heard it, woke up and everything. But so I don't know what happened there. But of course, I always like how when the person that has the experience is going through that, they're trying to figure out what it could be, and so I think that's important whenever possible. But sounds like they did a fairly decent job of trying to rule everything out. So, yeah, neat story there. So let's move on to the next one. And let me see here. Okay, this one says, even though this happened years ago, I still can't figure out how to explain it. Here's what happened. In the home where my family and I lived, there was always a blanket that lay flat on the seat of the couch. One morning I woke up early and decided to go into the living room. As soon as I opened the door to my bedroom, I saw that the blanket was not flat on the couch. It was as if something was beneath it, leaving only the corners and the edges to touch the couch. Whatever it was gave the blanket a kind of a bell shape. After standing still for about 10 seconds, I ran to my mom's room and woke her up. When we got back to the living room, I figured the blanket would be flat on the couch again, but it wasn't. My mom froze as soon as she saw it, just as I had. Then she walked over to the couch and pushed down on the blanket. The bump vanished, and the blanket landed on the couch. Again, to this day, I still don't know what to think of this experience. And I'm with the writer. I don't know. Seems like it was more than just a... I mean, I don't think they could have mistaken that for being anything. Especially since the bump did go away. But there was nothing... I'm guessing there was nothing beneath the bump when the mom pushed it down. Doesn't sound like it. I would think they'd mention that. The writer would mention that if they found anything beneath the blanket. So I saw, this isn't really in what I just read, but I saw in the comments of that story, people were talking about how they've seen videos of similar things. Of course, with videos, it's always hard to tell what's being faked and what's not. But I just thought that was a neat little detail there that, in addition to the story, it's a common thing in videos. I wonder if maybe someone... that happened to someone else before, and that's what the videos are made to fake, or how that worked. That whole transition between possible experiences, actual experiences, and sort of your popular culture recreation or outright hoaxes of paranormal events. Always hard to tell there. But, and of course, I just wonder what was underneath that blanket. And did it just vanish when the mom touched the top of it? I'd also like to know more details on that. What the blanket, what the shape felt like beneath the blanket, the kind of how much resistance there was. Just details that I'm guessing are lost to time, and then just the the fact that it's a written story and there's no way to interview the person easily there. So but I wonder about those things. But yeah, that's amazing that the mom actually was able to have the experience as well. So often you hear stories about that people have experiences when they're kids, and when they go to get someone else, sometimes an adult, sometimes it just whoever else is there, they will come back and find whatever whatever was going on there that seems paranormal is done or gone, and just there's no evidence of it. So the story with this, then at the time I'm guessing kid, going and getting their mom to figure out what was under this blanket on this couch to make it almost like that stereotypical ghost bell shape. The fact that it was still there is really amazing. So, and the mom is, I don't know how the mom was able to go and just actually put a finger on top of the blanket and try to push down. I mean, I may have done that, but I also may not have, because who knows. But neat story there as well. So moving on to the next story. Let's see here. Oops, did I skip one? No, I didn't. That was just right there. Okay. This one says, this happened about 5 years ago in an apartment where my boyfriend and I lived at the time. We also had a small puppy at the time as well. One Saturday, I heard the front door open and close. The dog jumped down from the bed and left the bedroom. I heard the sound of her leash being attached, so I asked, how was work? My boyfriend worked the night shift, from 6 at night until 7 in the morning. But there was no response. Then I heard the sliding glass patio door open and close. Figuring that my boyfriend hadn't heard me, I fell asleep again. A short time later, I heard the front door open and close again, and the familiar voice of my boyfriend. He talked to the dog, asking where I was at. I called out to him right away, asking if he hadn't already been home. Of course, he said that he hadn't. And I still can't figure out what happened that day. So, I may have messed up the rewriting of that one there. Basically, the boyfriend worked the night shift, and the writer thought that they heard the boyfriend come home, open the front door and close it, and then go out through the side door, that patio door, and then heard the front door open and close again, and the boyfriend's actual voice after that, talking and asking the dog where the writer was at. So, and I'm guessing, I'm imagining that the patio door was locked. So if it was, then someone apparently unlocked it and then closed it again. So, but yeah, neat story there. Although it's a little bit, I can understand why the writer would be frightened, because who opened the door, and then there was a sound of the leash. So I'm guessing someone bumped into the leash. I don't know, but yeah, odd story there. I don't blame the writer for being freaked out at the time. But yeah, it's at first it seems almost like just a basic. And I forget the exact word for it, but there's stories people will share of hearing common things in their home from people getting home, people that they know getting back home. They'll hear those common sounds of the person opening the door, walking in, sometimes even putting their keys down on the table, and then nothing. And then a while later, they'll hear those sounds over again, and that time it really is the person getting home. So, This seems like a slight variation on that. But anyway, that's the neat thing about these stories, is finding the similarities and then differences and the variations on them. But moving on to the next story. Let's see here. This one says, I am a truck driver specializing in the transportation, there we go, of equipment for a construction company. A few days ago, I went to get a piece of equipment from a job site. It was in the middle of wide open fields in all directions, on a corner lot. There wasn't a building in sight either, not even houses. As I neared the site, I noticed a girl in her mid to late teens, walking down the road in the direction of the job site. She was wearing clothes that made it seem as if she came right from the 1990s. I turned into the lot, losing sight of this strangely dressed girl for a few seconds. When I had parked, I looked back to see the girl again, except she was gone. Again, there was nowhere for her to hide, and no way that I couldn't see where she had gone, either. It was in the middle of the day, as well. I still can't explain how or where she could have disappeared to. So, that's an amazing story, especially given the surroundings, and just there being nothing in the area for her to hide behind. I wonder if it was some kind of a time anomaly where she just was there and then wasn't. Of course, spirit, ghost is always a possibility, but those kinds of stories are always amazing, just in case it really was someone from the 90s, some kind of a overlap between two times that just lasted for just a few seconds or so, and then was over, and then she wasn't there anymore. Possible, and who knows, or residual energy, maybe. Sometimes I wonder about that with this path that I used to take, this route that I used to take to get into town where I live. I'd walk down those streets to get into town, the same path, the same way I did that for a good, I don't know, 10 years, 5-10 years. Once a week, every week, sometimes even more. So, I wonder if that can leave any kind of energy behind, going that same way every time. Also, I always joke about that with myself when I think about, I almost feel bad for the next person that moves into this apartment, because there's going to be all kinds of residual energy of this guy talking in the middle of the night, and just left over from me, all night, all morning, just talking, and people are going to wonder what's going on. Who are they hearing? Why are they hearing it only at night? So, but can't do much about that, I guess. So, moving on to the next story. Let's see here. Okay, I gotta scroll down a little bit. Here we go. For many years now, I have been seeing the ghost of a little boy in my room. He always sits on the corner of my desk, looking down at either his feet or the floor. He never responds when I talk to him, and has never caused any trouble either. He appears to be around 4 or 5 years old. I've even tried taking pictures of him, but when I look at the images, he's never there. And this was amazing because it sounds like this has been years, and I've just seen this constantly. That to me does sound almost like a residual image, although it's odd that they're sitting on the desk. Unless that desk has been there from before when the writer was or something. I don't know if maybe that family moved into the house and there was still furniture there. I don't know. It's that part sort of doesn't fit unless that was the case. But so yeah, I don't know what to make of that. Unless they just wanted to be there. Or the presence is supposed to be some kind of message in and of itself, but then again, that's hard to know what that message is supposed to be. So, just an odd experience. Yeah, Ghost James. Yeah, I tell you, and I hope it doesn't happen because man, that's gonna be. I'm sure that'll be annoying for. Unless the next person that moves in here is nocturnal like myself, that they're gonna. Hopefully, there isn't as much residual energy, and they're not sensitive, and they don't hear random talking all night, middle of the night. But I can't do much about that, I don't think. So it is what it is. But let me see here. Let me see how long the next story is. And all right, I think I can do this one. This one says, this is about an experience my grandma had when she was a child. She doesn't remember exactly when this happened, but says that she was between 10 and 13 years old. She lived with her mom and had an uncle that would stay with them from time to time as well, though he was not staying with them at the time that this happened. Her mom asked her to go get some potatoes from the basement. My grandma went down the stairs and turned on the light, but stopped as soon as she saw her uncle sitting in a chair in the middle of the room. She talked to him, surprised to see him there, but got no response. He was just sitting there, staring straight ahead. My grandma went back up and told her mom that she wasn't aware her uncle was staying with them. Her mom was surprised and said that he wasn't. My grandma told her mom what she had seen, and then followed her mom down the stairs again. They didn't see anything, but her mom was still worried. The family got together after hearing of this and went to where the uncle was staying. That was when they found him lying on the floor in his home. He had passed away around the same time my grandmother had seen him in the basement. And that's where that story ends. That's an amazing story in a way. I mean, it's sad that the uncle passed, but also just amazing. I wonder if he was trying to let them know somehow that this had happened, or if he was even aware. Sometimes you hear about that, spirits aren't aware when they pass. And maybe it was just sort of a natural reaction to go to his sort of other home. And the family got lucky enough in the way to see him there. And then they were able to figure out something was wrong and then go find him. I don't know. But yeah, that's an amazing story. I wonder how often that happens. I imagine that must not be the only case of that ever happening. But that's all the time we have for today. Thank you all for listening. I'll be back tomorrow to cover paranormal news on the next episode of Salcedo Paranormal. Take care, everyone.